안녕하세요, 여러분. 반갑습니다. My name is Sofian Meguellati. I'm coming from Singapore, and I'm very happy to be here today to talk about Singapore as a global hub for expansion in Southeast Asia. I'm originally from France, and I opened our office in Singapore about 5 years ago, and we started operations with South Korea 3 years ago. I'm also super happy to continue this partnership with Kita, as last year we had the first webinar on proof of concept, that is a strategy to start a relationship between a startup and a corporate. And this year we are happy to offer any interested startup who wants to expand to Southeast Asia a training bootcamp who will happen in November, about 1 week, on how to develop and design your marketing and business development strategy and prepare your sales deck to be ready to go to the market. I will talk about that at the end of the presentation. So today, my goal is to give any company here, any startup or SME, medium company, or even corporate, an overview about the Singapore ecosystem, the opportunities, the business world there, and what you can find in this market. As you saw in the previous presentation, very detailed about Southeast Asia. Singapore is a really chosen hub for expansion in Southeast Asia. Actually, 75% of startup investment in the region are made from Singapore, and it's a place that is very usually chosen to go to those markets. So I will share with you insights. I will show you some strategies as well, some tips, and as an operator of acceleration programs and also corporate innovation partner, we actually collaborate a lot between companies who are in Singapore and who are looking for technologies from all over the world, and companies who are from US, Europe, and North Asia who wants to connect and find a good business in the region. So I will also use all our experience, more practical and operational, and try to give you as many tips as I can during this session. So a bit more briefly about our company first. So I am one of the 2 co-founders. We founded the company 7 years ago in Paris. And we work with global leaders on their corporate innovation strategy. This is the reason why we are very familiar about what is the corporate mindset and structure and organization when they are about to try anything new with a startup. So we help building the strategies, the open innovation capabilities, and to run and execute also those activities. The second is business acceleration. So this is also with large corporates who want to accelerate the go-to-market from the product creation to the launch. So because we are able to operate in Asia, Europe, and US, we can quickly test the markets, generate local insight with local consumers or customers, and validate that there is a fit before the deployment of any strategy, retail, digital, a new product, or a new service. And finally, why we are here, global market expansion for startup. So we run different kind of programs between the locations where we are. And that this is how we help to adapt some technology or marketing that works really well in one location to another location. And usually there are a lot of things to do to be ready to go to another market. Of course, you first need to have a market fit in your own first market. That's the basics. But once you have that, where should you go? What kind of investment do you need to go? What kind of partners? This is where it's very hard. And usually you do a lot of business trip, discover trip, to meet a lot of people, to build your own knowledge about what should be the best strategy for you. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Just a few words about how we happen to be in South Korea. For the last 1 year, I started to live in between Seoul and Singapore, and we started 3 years ago as L'Oréal, as one of our strong partner, opened an innovation center in Seoul for skincare. And we were a partner to work about how to frame the ways of working of this team to make sure that it can fastly prototype and test innovation coming from South Korea in terms of the product, and send up to the global brands like Lancôme and Yves Saint Laurent, etc. So this one was our first, and since then we developed more partnership in the country. Okay, but let's move into the content. So first of all, Singapore as an economic hub in Southeast Asia. So at a glance, Singapore is the hub of 4,000 startups, 15 billion raised in Singapore dollars. It's about 10 billion US dollar, and 25 unicorns. Singapore unicorns, as stated before, only 10, but some of the unicorns of the region also have the HQ there. So you have very strong university and research centers that can actually also create startups from their own accelerators and commercialize, or collaborate with many corporates there at R&D center to fund a research project with the corporates directly. So many corporates are in Singapore. So you have Singapore companies first, then you have a lot of global companies, and most of APAC HQ now are in Singapore. The reason why is it's always increasing is also because Hong Kong, who was the second HQ, has suffered from political and COVID policies. So many companies relocated to HQ for Asia in Singapore. For instance, L'Oréal Travel Retail recently moved 300 people back to Singapore. You have venture capitalists, 220, which is also a really good opportunity to use investment strategy to launch your branch in Southeast Asia. And the startup community is very big, and also a lot of accelerators. Some are private, some are public, and some are corporate. And this is actually a really good way to understand what the market wants from a new technology from somewhere else. And very often you have a lot of competition, call for innovation that you can find and apply to try to have a direct connection with a business partner or a customer. So Singapore usually ranks a lot well in many rankings. Here you have a few, but just to summarize, it's actually a very good place for business. I opened my company there, so I went through all the process, and then we have many others to do the same. So opening the company, the bank account, then all the business meetings, very easy to start, very easy to meet people, because the city center is very small. So in 15 minutes, you go anywhere by taxi. Anyone else usually open for a coffee meeting or introduction meeting. And the first language of the country is English. So it makes it also very easy for any new nationality to go there and connect. And then, of course, the legal system is very strong for your IP, intellectual property, to make sure that the assets that you build there are protected by the law. A few examples of the ranking as well. Singapore ranks #1 in headquarters for large companies. As I shared, the reason is that first of all, there is a big investment policy made by the government to attract innovation centers to Singapore. Usually they co-finance the innovation center, so it helps bring a lot of investment. Then of course, the strategic geography. From Singapore, within 2-3 hours, you can reach any capital of Southeast Asia, and the airport is very close to the city center, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But before I go more, can I just ask you if you can raise your hand if you have ever been there to Singapore, so I can know how to. Okay, so most of you are more familiar. Okay, so maybe I will share less of those kind of insights. Okay, cool. The innovation center also #1, advanced manufacturing, because it's one of the #1 harbor in the world. They invested a lot, and many logistics companies are also there and spend a lot of money in automation and in logistics improvement to make sure that they keep always #1. But if we have an idea of Singapore about finance, because it's a financial hub, about logistics, because it's a harbor, there are also actually many other big leader industry in the country. Such as something that we think a bit less, but pharmaceutical, a lot of company and research, in medical as well. Also about energy, aerospace, you have a leading aerospace company. Consumer business, it's also a very good area to test any new retail or e-commerce because of the population. I will share later. Precision engineering, so all of that that can give you an idea about, okay, if I'm selling to any of those industry, let's just have a look at who are the top 10 companies, and then see how I can reach out to them and test my my pitch, to test my proposal, and see how they respond. So I will talk later about how to reach out and what's the best timing and all the strategy to do that. Something important as well is that government is really into pushing for developing a lot of innovations to the country and always open to new technology from everywhere. So as they state, they are interested these days in AI, data analytics, cybersecurity, and Internet of Things to make Singapore one of the smart city, the biggest smart city in the world. And what is really interesting, and I want to emphasize on that, is that it's a place made for testing. So testing a new concept is made very easy. First of all the corporates as a customer, they have all the tools and resources and knowledge about how to test something new and how to do a proof of concept. So when you go to them with your sales strategy, nothing needs to be super ready, but you need to suggest, to propose, this is what we can try together. And usually they have the knowledge to work on this methodology. And you have also a lot of open innovation platform, always calling for, like for instance, with the Zoo of Singapore, with the hospitality, any industry, they usually call every 1 year for a new startup in a few specific area of what they are looking for. So if you spend an amount of time about being aware about the new innovation contests, open innovation platform, etc., you can have a really specific idea about what the market wants and needs. And if I talk that much about Singapore and not Southeast Asia, it's because it's a very good area to start, and all decision center usually of big company in Southeast Asia are all based in Singapore. So then they will travel a lot, but the decision center is usually there with the GM and all the leading team for APAC. So this I won't talk a lot because it was mentioned before, but on the left, it can give you an idea about what are the key successful business of the last few years in terms of technology and services. So as you can see, payment, buy now, pay later, that has become very, very strong. Insurance, cryptocurrency, logistics, etc. So this one you can access. Actually, this deck will be accessible to you if you want to receive it later. So I will just go on this slide faster. So another recommendation I have for you, if you want to make sure about what is the competition there or what is working there, I suggest that you go to check this website. Startup SG is one of the government agency, also partner with Kita. And here you can scroll on 4,000 startups, 600 investors, and 200 plus accelerators. And you have all the filters available. So what is the size, the industry, the specifications of the company. So let's say that you are working in AI or VR or big data or anything. You can just check briefly what are the good company in this domain, see if they are similar with you or not, and see how you can differentiate for them. Because something very important when you go to a new market, you're not from there. So even if you recruit a local GM, a local team, usually people will be like, okay, but you are probably almost same like this company. They are there for 10 years. We work with them already. So why should I work with someone new who is from somewhere else, right? And it takes years and years to build legitimacy in the market to prove that you are a strong partner as well. So to make sure that you can offer something different and how to position yourself and your technology on this market, it's very important to do this mini competitive analysis and check who are the successful startups already operating in your area. So now, how about the Korean community in Singapore? So the community is actually quite strong, 21,000 Koreans in Singapore, half of it being in corporates. Then you have business owners, usually in F&B, and students. Which means that, and actually the best strategy everywhere you go, everywhere I go, is to connect with the community of your own country, right? So it means that you have more than 10,000 working either in Korean companies in Singapore or in any company in Singapore. And it's the network, to be part of this network too, there is a lot of solidarity and help. So you have so many Kakao group chats to share tips. You have also a group chat to share new jobs, etc. So this is something that you can consider as well as an asset when you go to Singapore. Then it's the Southeast Asia HQ for most of the largest companies in Korea, like Samsung, LG, Hyundai, etc. Plus 1,000 Korean companies already registered in Singapore. Usually in many industries like construction, advanced manufacturing, finance, cybersecurity, food security, smart farming, and others. Something to note is that recently Coupang and Kakao also opened the office in Singapore to develop their e-commerce and blockchain activities. Usually those two companies also have open innovation and startup acceleration centers. So you can also probably use or try to reach out to check what they are doing there and see if they can also be a partner for you to do any activity. Because something you have to know is that the fastest you can have a real business case of something that works in the market, the fastest you can use it to talk to others and to develop your business. As long as you only have success in some other countries, people can always tell you, yeah, sure, maybe it worked there, but why would it work here? So the top one objective before any investment, even before opening an office maybe, is to try to find this business case that you can develop with a local customer, and then you can advertise it within the same industry as your customer or within other industries. And to do that, yeah, that's the kind of assets that you can use. And actually some current startups are already very successful in the region and also in Singapore. Some as the SVP, that is a financial platform, basically to send money from different countries with less price than the bank. And they have, for instance, a Singapore remittance license. So they are officially registered as a financial operator in Singapore, and they have a presence there. So that's an example of a good expansion. You have also Rinkos, that is IT-based logistics company. They started their operations in Korea in 2015, and 5 years later they opened Singapore, so 2 years ago, and they already have a quite good customer and business there. And another one is Gusto X. So this one is very new. Actually, in Singapore, you have a very famous Korean CEO that opened Blue Basket. It's a food e-commerce marketplace. And I think she was the one to open bubble tea in Korea before Gongxia, if I'm not wrong. And so they collaborated with a cloud platform, and now they offer service to digitalize the F&B industry, meaning you have a retail shop. We can offer you all the software to become online shop as well, and all the logistics around that. So Blue Basket already very strong in Singapore. They even purchased their competitor, if I'm not wrong, a few months ago, and now they have this partnership. So something interesting as well is to try and reach out to the one who already succeeded their expansion and to see how they did, what was the difficulties, if they had any network or connection for you to help. And you can count on several successful cases already. About corporates, another example. This month, I think, it has been announced a few months back, Hyundai is investing 400 million Singapore dollar in a big innovation center about the future of mobility. So basically building the electric vehicle and all that goes around. And that's also a sign that you can rely first on partners you have. I mean, let's say that some of your customers are already having an office there, like Hyundai. It's usually easy to get connected to them, to the office, and because they will open a lot of jobs and activities through this center, but also through the operations. My advice would be to also check any of your existing customers that has a presence so that you can talk with to be connected with local presence. The only thing you must know is that it's always easier to start collaboration with a HQ than Southeast Asia HQ or APAC HQ or any region HQ. Why? Because the local market offices, they are very pressured about delivering the P&L of the year. So it's more usually commercialization, operations, but a bit less about investment on a new technology or innovation. So usually what we do is a mixed investment or a mixed partnership between HQ and the region to have both the HQ engaged about investing in the innovation, and then the region engaged about how to develop or deploy the solution if it's a strategic deployment. Check the timing, it's good.
We have about 20 minutes.
So is that okay? Okay, good. Let's have an overview about B2B startup first. So one of the questions you may have is, okay, I think I'm ready to interact with potential customers, but who should I talk to? Should I check with the CEO, with the IT director, with the open innovation director, with the procurement? And usually in the company, everyone has a different interest, right? As I shared, if it's a local APAC office, usually the interest is mostly about delivering the P&L of the year. And there is very small margin on innovation. But the good news is all of those companies there all have open innovation team or innovation team. And those guys have the mission to find new opportunities and to present them to the business unit. So I really encourage you to reach out to those people. So as for example of people we work with, but to be honest, you just type Open Innovation Director on LinkedIn, location Singapore, and then you have a lot. So they are usually always connected with external ecosystem to find new technology. So they are the one to tell you very fast, yes, I think we have a problem statement that you can solve, or no, we are not looking for this solution, so that you don't lose your time. Why is that? Because they do a lot of work to talk to everyone in the company and to specify the problem statements that any business unit will have. Is it IT or HR or logistics or supply, any of the functions. So they can really guide you fast in terms of don't lose your time this year because we are looking something on this, or yeah, actually it can be interesting, you should talk to this person, or let's have a meeting together with this person. So they are really go-to person, I would say, to connect you with the key decision maker. And working with them, so usually they have 2 or 3 pillars about technology that they are looking for every year. And then when they recommend you to a business unit, then we need to work on the business case. What do you offer? How can your technology be used in their context? And we will talk about this a bit later. But you can also have a look on all the Temasek portfolio. Temasek is the Singapore state holding company. So it's the government fund that has full or partial investments in the major companies of the country. So banking, telecom, retail, engineering, airline, malls, what else? Yeah, malls, marine industry, etc. Or finance. So also a good input is the bigger the company, the more they have resources and knowledge about innovation in general. When you come to develop a startup, you're categorized usually in innovation, like because you are something new. So very useful as well to check all those companies one by one and check in the news what they did recently in terms of innovation, who is in charge of innovation there, and see if you can have a meeting with them. Of course, you can also find a lot of successful collaboration examples, like Shell, for instance, the oil company, recently awarded 2 startups in Singapore to work on breakthrough technology. Here is to produce low carbon hydrogen. Mitsubishi Motors collaborate also with Singapore startup about better determine if the dinghy, when you get bitten by a mosquito is going to be increased bad or okay, thanks to a new technique with microfluid in the chip. But anyways, you can find a lot of those examples. Just something to show you is that collaboration with technologies and big groups as a B2B startup is working very well, and something you can consider. And just to finish with on this part, the sustainability now is a very strong trend in all ASEAN countries. So ASEAN is the name of the region, and they are committed to make 23% of the primary energy renewable. So it means that any kind of technology that is helping to lower down the carbon footprint would be very appreciated. And all companies these days, I can tell you, are really struggling to find any solution to reduce the carbon footprint. And if you have one of the technology, it's very easy usually to be listened and to be welcomed as a potential partner. Okay, so I wanted to share a bit more about the proof of concept. And if you have more questions, I will go a bit fast, but if you have more questions, reach out to us as well. We can share with you the deck we did 6 months ago with more details. But basically, what is this? Is when you talk to an innovation director, they would say, okay, what do you offer to us exactly? And if you already prepare what is exactly what you can try with them, what you can offer them, and offer them in a way that it's a test, and then you can decide if they have to pay or not. That's on you, on your own sales strategy. Then it's very easy for them to pick up your content and to show to business unit, because you already do your pre-work about what you can do for this specific context. And it means after a few months, we are able to say we measure some KPIs, and if we reach success in those specific KPIs, then we can go to the next stage. So for them, it's very easy. You basically do the job that they need to do anyways. So it will really accelerate the way they can connect you with internal stakeholders. Okay, going a bit fast for timing, but basically it's a decision-making shortcut, and it's now a global standard as well. So if you just type proof of concept on Google or Naver, you will find a lot of literature and details about what is it. Okay, then you need to set the KPIs as I shared. So just to pick a few of them, maybe the number of users, the impact on, depending on what you do, the impact on the productivity or on the sales or on the media efficiency, like what is your key value proposition and how we can measure this very concretely. And then make sure that from the very beginning, you have a clear potential outcome about the test. Like if we reach this, then next step can be contracting or partial investment or connection with your partners, and you help distribute on the market. You identify very well after the test, the proof of concept, what the company can do for you. Okay. If not, and what something happened a lot, it's working okay. And then for 6 months, like no one really know what to do, and there is no decision maker inside the company. And then they come back to you 6 months later, but for you it's too late to tell them like, we have another partner, or we don't want to come to this market anymore, or we don't trust your way of working anymore. It's too slow for us, etc. So you have to also be very strong in terms of guiding those corporates about how to execute this very important step as a collaboration. And this is what you can expect. So the software subscription is the easiest, because it's like, okay, they just subscribe to your software if you have a software. This they could have done from the very beginning, but I can tell you it's much harder to sell something that they never tried, or they're not even sure if it's going to work, because they have to integrate the solution. Or to integrate something that they already tried and they already say, yeah, it's working. And then the sales process is very accelerated. Then for B2C startups, honestly, you had a lot of examples right before, so I will not focus on specific startups, but I can just share, and I think you had this information, that the penetration of digital consumer is very, very high, that it's growing super fast in all those markets. As you can see, 60 million new digital consumers since the pandemic. So it's actually a very good opportunity for B2C startup, but in my opinion, it's a bit harder to scale a B2C startup in those regions. First of all, because each market is kind of different. So a different language, different platforms, etc. So it's a big challenge, but it's also a big opportunity if you can succeed because the number of consumers is very high. But to at least you can try a bit, because as you see here is the population of Singapore between citizens, permanent resident, or non-resident, meaning foreigners. And because of that, and already the citizens population are also very diverse, it can be a really good representation about how the region can react to a new service. And the good news is that in some survey, 85% of respondents said that they tried a new app the last year. It means that still the openness to try a new mobile app is high. But yeah, it's a bit challenging. Another challenge I want to highlight is that there is a lot of reliability on the established brands. It means that, as you can see here, 75% and mostly in Thailand and Singapore are more into buying a very famous brand than a total new brand. So what is the consequence of that? Is that if you launch as a D2C, like direct to consumer platform, it's very hard to get trust from consumers. So a very good approach instead is to connect with the biggest digital platform of the region, such as Lazada. So in opening a Lazada shop, you're already in an environment of an app that people use every day. So you can much easier distribute your product, but you have to know that in a B2C environment, anything new is harder in terms of a new brand. What else? Yeah, a few trends as well. Value for money is also very big. It means that people really want to save money on small products. And actually, I heard 290 million people in the region are struggling with finance. So that's why they are looking for good deals. And the consequence is that the online purchase is growing very fast, because online you can find a lot of fast deals. And as you are in China as well, for instance, you have a lot of fast promotion. Every month there is a new 11/11, etc. So that's also a trend. People still want to stay more at home. It was actually quite unexpected. But for instance, in the US, 35 people said they would rush out of home as soon as the pandemic is over. But in Southeast Asia, only 20% said they will rush out of home. It means that the resistance to come back to normal outdoor activities or interactions is slower than in other regions as well. So food delivery, any delivery, of course, is working very well. That's why you have this merger with Tokopedia and Gojek. And all the delivery app are growing also. So now about what is a good business development strategy. This is an example of how you can think your strategy to scale in Southeast Asia. First one is, of course, discover the market. So go there once, attend one exhibition in your own industry, or generate 10, 20 business meetings with the people I showed before to pitch and see how they react. And at this stage, it's not important if you're super ready or not. You just want to see if there is any good feedback or answer from people who already expanded there or who are potential customers there. Then it will help you to build your knowledge about how should I position myself. And to do that, I remember just to do your mini market analysis to see if you are the same from an existing solution or if you are very different, and then you can really position as a good competitor. Then it's like, okay, how can we get our first partner or our first business case or proof of concept? Because as I shared, it will help you a lot about being more increasing your legitimacy and pitching much more people. Then you have promotion and sales. So as long as you know how to sell for the first time, then you can repeat this operation. And even before you open any office, you can hire some very good partners there to do business development, lead generation. And once that is validated, I would say, then you can open office. So the biggest fail that we see in expansion, not just Singapore, but globally, is that the startup would spend a few millions just to get office, a GM and a team, and then they will try get the partnership and sell. But before that, they didn't do much to make sure they have a business and the market fit. So usually our recommendation is to do much more activities before you even think about investing a few millions in an office. Of course, if you just raised 20 or 30 million, and one of the strategy of this fundraising is to go there, then it's already done deal with your investor and you can use the money. But even though it's much more interesting and actually less risky to have first deals before. And who will tell you we cannot sign a contract because your company is in Korea? Any company can sign any contract with company in Korea directly, that you don't necessarily need a local office. Then except if it's a specific finance product, or if the IP is very sensitive and your customer want the IP to be in Singapore, etc., which is very rare, you can totally have the few first deal from here, and that's not a problem. And then recruit the team. So that was example timeline. Then you how you can deliver this timeline, a bit of the toolbox. First, you can totally apply and join an accelerator, and their goal will be to help you for a few months to find new deals, to connect you with local potential partners, etc. And as you have 220 accelerators, obviously it's very easy to find one that will suit you, and that you can probably send, if you're big enough, like 20 or 30, you can probably send one person of your team for 4 months just to test the market and do the program, right? So that's the first thing. Then a local partner. Usually you can identify someone who can distribute your product for you, even if you're not there yet. So it means working on the marketing, on the business development, or also in the logistics or the production. Last week I met a food company in Singapore, one of the biggest of South Korea, and they actually just found a local partner in Singapore. And this partner will take care of distribution, marketing, some of the production, and the supply chain in the region. So you don't need to own always all of your expansion. Sometimes it's much faster to find a really good partner that can do the job for you, and then you split the value. You can have a representation office that is a legal incorporation that exists in Singapore. It will just give you the opportunity to do a lot of marketing events and say that you have also local presence. And then also a local office, which is the real entity incorporation. And for that, there is a very good partner in Singapore called Likin, doing that for a lot of Korean companies, and having a lot of knowledge and can be a really good help about how to position. And fundraising is the final one. This one is much more difficult to achieve, but sometimes you can do a joint venture with a local company. If you find that you have a technology that can match, if you find that you have a global interest, or if like you basically do the same, but you want to combine forces for this market, then joint venture can be an option. But this kind of deal takes 6-12 months to build and to be executed. So it can happen in the future. And anyways, it's always better to have a business first to convince the investor that your solution is working well here. So you can first start with the others. But in terms of accelerator events, so many things you can go. The good news is that since a few weeks, there is 0 tests between the two countries. So you can go Singapore, 2 days, come back, very easy.
And you have about 3 minutes left.
3 minutes? Okay, perfect. Then I will jump into last series of tips. I know that here is a bit not always used by everyone, but in Singapore, even Southeast Asia, LinkedIn is, I think, your most powerful tool. Make sure that your profile is readable in English, that you have a presentation in English that you can share very easily. Even better, if your website has an English version, it will reassure the person that you are ready to work with Southeast Asia because you're already working internationally. So first step is the presentation, but I really strongly recommend to have an English version of the website before you start doing this kind of development. And 2 last minutes, I want to share with you our bootcamp next month. So with ITA, we co-organize this Singapore and Southeast Asia market expansion bootcamp. It consists in a few training workshops in Seoul, actually in this area, in this office, to work on your market segmentation and your value proposition for the market, to work on your brand and marketing strategy and your proof of concept strategy for the market, and then to have access to pitch training to prepare your sales deck that you can then use to pitch anyone you want to reach out to in the region to develop your opportunities. So that's 3 workshops. Then you will have access to one-on-one coaching that you can apply for. I forgot to say that it's a fully free bootcamp, thanks to Kita, who is offering this project with us. So really feel free to come. You will work on different tools that you can use to actually any other market. You will also have a lot of mentoring. So the workshop are based on the methodology, but then during the workshop, some mentors will be there to coach you, to give you tips, and to make sure that you're working on the right direction. So it's about knowing your customers, knowing the pain points and the needs on the market, defining how you can position your value to match the need, and then how to position your local deployment. So it will help you have all the content for the sales deck. So after that, you will have a sales deck that you can use, and you will even have access to pitch rehearsing, so how to present during the call or during your visit in Southeast Asia. So feel free to join or to apply. Again, it's a free seminar. It will happen in November, from November 21 to November 26. So you can scan this QR code. You can also collect when you leave here the QR code as well. And I probably think that you will receive at the end of the seminar also a link if you want to join. So that was it for me. Thank you so much for listening online and here today. Really happy to be here, and I hope this will be useful, and good luck for your market expansion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sofian. We'll have Q&A session right now, so maybe we would have like 3 questions from offline. 온라인 참가자들께서도 혹시 질문 있으시면 채팅으로 남겨주십시오. 일단 오프라인 먼저 바로 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 2분 제가 봤고요. 혹시 한 분 더 있으면 말씀해 주십시오.
Hi, my name is Nora, and I'm a global business manager in a Korean company called D-Tonic, and we do B2B software, B2B big data software. My question was just about POCs. So from our experience in Korea, POCs are a lot of times seen as almost exploitative startups. So it's like you should see it as a marketing opportunity, and so big companies are getting free services basically from startups. But in the US and in Europe, big companies, they pay for your efforts, even if it's not the full license of your solution. What should we expect in Singapore?
Half. No, you can totally price your POC in Singapore. We saw that many times. Then I would say it's just about how aggressive you want to be in the market development, right? So as anything, but you know, the good thing about pricing POC is that there is more engagement from the customer because they pay for it. When it's free, of course, there is less intention that it's going to work, and we need to make it work because we paid for it. The same as a consumer. When you pay for a service, when you pay to go to a PT, then you're going to your gym because you paid every month, right? It's force yourself.
So it's not one way or the other.
No, exactly. There is no rule. So, but based on exactly service, we can discuss later. Thank you.
혹시 한국어로도 질문하시면 제가 번역 도와드릴 수 있으니까 말씀해 주세요.
I'm Josh. I'm working for GP. It's an American HR company. So our company offers like a remote hiring platform. So naturally, I work a lot with like early stage Korean startups going global. And a lot of like a founder's question for me also is that when actually they can go global. So do you have any kind of practical advice, especially for early stage startups interested in entering Singaporean market?
Yeah. Sometimes to be frank, we see startup applying to expansion program, but the product is not even ready in South Korea. So the first thing is the answer would be, if you already have a market fit in one country, in your country or another one, if you can have enough revenues or investment to be able to operate in another country, then you're probably ready to explore. But before that, if you don't even have you can still not be profitable, but at least you have some revenue and some validation that that you fit the need of the market. Then you can think expansion. But I saw 30% of startups applying to such programs and don't even have market fit in their first country. So that's what would be a no-go for me. And then the biggest trust is, where is the good one? Where is the good development? So usually it's a deal with investors that when they invest, you choose one location, or is like you explore 2 or 3 markets in 2-3 months. You just do your research and you say, okay, we think this one, and then you start engaging. But as I shared, don't invest everything from the beginning. Just do a few steps of validation, as I shared, just to make sure that there is a market fit before you can really invest.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jung. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SV인베스트먼트. We provide a SaaS solution to restaurant that allows people to order together but split the bill right at the table. So we're about to do a little project with a possibility with the Gusto X in Singapore. And I want to ask you a practical question regarding, should we open up the local office or entity there? I know you mentioned we should do it towards the end. And I think we do have to have a corporate there because we need to connect with the payment gateway over there. So far our service in Korea is connected with the Korean payment gateway. So we'll be there until February, doing the project, and possibly more POC afterwards. But a practical question is should we spend a lot of money on Airbnb and then sending 2 members there? But should we open up the actual entity there, or you also mentioned the rep office? So I know you have experience from you started a business in France and then you moved to Singapore. So from your experience, how should we go about saving more money when we go over there?
Okay, I can connect you with experts of incorporation who will have more details. But from what I can tell you, is if the project you do until February is not requiring any entity there, then you can just pursue at least to see how it works and if it works well. And after that, decide. Because opening a local office doesn't cost much. It's like 5,000, 3,000 USD, something like that. What costs more is when you want to bring one of your employees from here to there, because you will have to have enough money inside to have the visa. So something that costs not a lot is to open the entity and to recruit a local citizen, local person. Then you don't have to put $100,000 to prove the visa, to support the visa. So that's something I can share. But probably there is more to do with the payment system, if it can work without the entity or not. But I would say you can wait until the end of this first test, February. If it's a good conclusion, then open and try to more.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
But I think the service as a consumer, I think it's very good because the bill split is very common. And usually there is no system I never saw any system to do that. Just everyone put the card and then collect back. So I think there is, I mean, that's all just personal consumer feedback. So Singapore is very used to bill split as a market.
Okay, thank you.